Alright everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well and staying safe while the whole world goes mad with this coronavirus. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're okay, and to all my subscribers out there, I hope you're all sound as a pound. So as promised, I'm going to be doing some different videos while the NRL season is suspended. From what I've read, it's not going to be starting back until at least September, and then the grand final is going to be in December. But who knows at this stage what's going to happen. So I'm going to be doing some other videos, and the topic of today's video is going to be I'm going to do the greatest teams of every side that's in the competition currently. So tonight I'm going to be doing South Sydney's greatest ever team. That's my opinion of their greatest ever team, not the official team that was released I think in 2004. So I'm going to be covering from 1908 to 2019. So I'm going to be going through the positions 1 through to 17, and I'm going to give you my opinion on who their best ever team was, best ever players were in each position. So before I get into the video, I'd just like to see if you're enjoying the content that I'm creating, then please give me videos a like, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you click that notification bell so you get an email when I do a new video. And if you have some spare time, go over to Rugby League History, which is my page on Facebook, link in description below. So let's get into the greatest ever South Sydney Rabbitohs, South Sydney, the Bunnies, the Rabbits, whatever you want to call them, their best ever team, 1 through to 17. So at fullback, I've gone for the little master, Clive Churchill. What can't you see about Clive Churchill? He revolutionised the fullback position. He was part of 4 premiership winning teams with South. He also played in a few other grand finals. After he retired, he coached the club to 4 grand final victories. He's an immortal, as I think I just mentioned earlier. And his stats and his reputation and everything that you read about him speaks for himself. So he's my pick for fullback. On the wing, so on the left wing, I've got Benny Waring. Now, not everyone would know who Benny Waring is. He played with South Sydney in the 1920s and 1930s. He won 6 premierships with South Sydney in that time. And he scored 144 tries in 172 matches. Now that record stood at the club for another, I think, 70 years until Nathan Merritt overtook that in 2014, I think. So he was a prolific try scorer. As I said, he won 6 premierships with South, so he's my pick for the left wing. In the centres, on the left hand side alongside Benny Waring, I've gone for Eric Sims. Eric Sims won 4 premierships with South in the 1960s and 1970s, and an interesting stat, he kicked 86 field goals in his career, because back in those days I think a field goal was worth 2 points. So a lot of teams back then used to kick more field goals than what they do now, but Eric Sims was the king of the field goals. He was also a prolific point scorer with South Sydney. I think he still holds the record for the most points ever scored at the club, despite having retired nearly 50 years ago. The only person I think that's going to overtake him is Adam Reynolds, but besides that, he's still the highest point scorer at the club. The other centre, I've gone for Paul Sate. He won 3 premierships with South in the 1960s and 1970s. He represented New South Wales and Australia on numerous occasions. It was a really tough pick to go for who I was going to put at centre, but I've decided to go with Paul Sate. On the other wing, so partnering alongside Paul Sate, I've gone for the great Harold Hardy. He was also known as the Wonder Winger. Harold Hardy, he played 89 games for South in 2 different spells. He won 2 premierships and he scored 102 tries. He also played for Australia, New South Wales, everyone else. He also played for North Sydney, but tonight I'm going to put him in the South Sydney team on the wing. The 5'8", I've gone for Alf Blair, or as some other people have called him, Alf Smacker Blair. That was his nickname, Smacker. Alf Blair played in the 1920s and 1930s with South, and he won 5 premierships as a player. He was also a captain coach of the club. He played 13 seasons for South between 1917 and 1930. So he played over 160 games, which is a lot of games considering back then they only played about 10 to 14 matches a year. So he's my 5'8" pick. At halfback, I've gone for Bob Grant. Bob Grant won 3 premierships with South in the 1960s and 1970s in that champion team coached by Clive Churchill. That position was a difficult one to decide, because you've also got other players throughout the entire history of South that have done the club proud at halfback. Some people might have said that I could have gone for Craig Coleman or Adam Reynolds. Just you put your sorry there, just had to do the screensaver. You can do that in the comment section below. Tell me who you think should be in the team. At prop, I've gone for John Sattler. John Sattler won 4 premierships in the 1960s and 1970s with South. He was a fearless leader, captain of the club. If you don't know the story, he suffered a badly broken jaw in the 1970 grand final, and he refused to go off the field and come back for the second half and won the match, and he was chaired off the field, and it became an iconic moment in rugby league history. And hooker, I've gone for Elwyn Walters. He won 3 premierships with South in the 1960s and 1970s. He also won 2 premierships with Eastern Suburbs, but his achievements at South were quite good. He also, with nearly every player on this list, he represented New South Wales and Australia. At the other prop, I've gone for John O'Neill. He won 4 premierships with South during the same era, and then he went on to join Manly, where he won 2 premierships with them in the 1970s. Second rowers, I've gone for Bob McCarthy. He won 3 premierships during the same era, and he later went on to coach the club in the late 1980s and 1990s. And then the other second rower, I picked George Trewick, or Trewick. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Trewick. He won 5 premierships with South in the 1920s and 1930s. He played well over 150 games, represented New South Wales, represented Australia. His achievements speak for themselves. At lock, I went for Ron Coote. Ron Coote won 4 premierships with South in the 1960s and 1970s. Then he controversially signed for Eastern Suburbs, South Sydney's rivals, and he won 2 further premierships with them. Ron Coote, fantastic player. Some people have actually said that he should be an immortal, but he's my pick for lock. And on the bench, so the first player on the bench, I've gone for Ian Moyer, or I think that's how you say it, Ian Moyer. He won 3 premierships with South in the 1950s. He was part of that champion team that made the grand final every year from 1949 to 1955. And also interestingly with Ian Moyer, he played 100 games for South and scored 105 tries. The second player on the bench is Jack Rayner. Jack Rayner won 5 premierships with South in the 1950s. He was also the captain coach in those years. He played in every single grand final from 1949 to 1955. He's one of South's greatest ever players. And I think he's one of the most successful coaches in the history of rugby league as well, from what I've read. 16, I've gone for Eddie Root, or Edward Root was his name. He won 6 premierships with South in the 1920s and 1930s. He also represented New South Wales and Australia, like a lot of other players on this list, as I've mentioned earlier. And at number 17, I've gone for Sam Burgess, Slammin' Sam Burgess. He's probably, I think he's the only modern player I've picked in this list, because you have to understand that in the especially in the late, well, in the mid to late 80s, well, no, in the 1990s and the early 2000s, South didn't have a very good team. They really struggled on the field. They were the easy beats. They were always towards the bottom of the ladder. Sam Burgess was, I think, since South have come back into the competition, he was their most important signing. His impact on and off the field was, I think, vital for South to win that 2014 premiership. He's a leader. Well, he was a leader. He was tough. He was a competitor. I'll never ever forget his performance in the 2014 grand final. As I said just now, I think pre-South coming back into the competition, Sam Burgess is the greatest ever signing. I think even better than other signings like Greg Inglis and Roy Asatazi, players like that. I think the impact that Sam Burgess had on South Sydney is just phenomenal. And to coach the club, this was a tough one, because there's been 3 or 4 really good coaches throughout South's history that have achieved great things in the game for South. Charlie Lynch was the first one, and then Jack Rayner, and you had Clive Churchill. But I've decided to go with Jack Rayner simply for the fact that to win 5 premierships out of a possible 7 grand finals, and he captain coached all of them. And he was just I'd say that he was better than Clive Churchill as a coach, because not only was he actually coaching the club he was playing, he was a captain coach. So that would have been a monumental task to do as a player, to actually coach and come up with game plans and all that caper. So that's who I've gone for the coach. So this is an unscripted video, as you can tell. This is my greatest ever South Sydney team that I've picked from 1908 to 2019. There's a lot of players that I left off the list, and I'm pretty sure people will be watching this video and thinking, why didn't you put them in your team? Well, that's where you get the option to put it in the comment section below. Give me your best ever South Sydney team between 1908 and 2019. So I'm going to be doing a few more of these greatest ever teams over the next couple of weeks, because I think it's safe to say that the NRL season's suspended for a while, so there's going to be no tipping videos, there's going to be no Parramatta Reels reviews, there's going to be nout. So that's my video for today. Once again, if you liked the video, please share it, subscribe to the channel. I hope you all take care of yourself, and I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.